The notifications started quietly, almost innocuously, just a gentle buzz on a few phones, a subtle vibration in pockets and on tabletops. At first it was easy to ignore, just another ping in a world overflowing with digital noise. But then, in a matter of seconds, the digital silence shattered. Trump in live text interview with CNN. The headline flashed across screens, and suddenly, phones everywhere lit up like a constellation. In coffee shops, offices and crowded subway cars, people's faces were illuminated by the glow of breaking news. Confusion rippled through the crowd. People scrambled to make sense of it, exchanging glances and hurried whispers. Was this real? Was it a prank? The newsroom, usually a place of controlled chaos, erupted into a frenzy as journalists rushed to verify the story. This wasn't a broadcast or a pre-recorded segment. It was something entirely new. A real-time, raw text conversation, unfolding on a news app for the world to see. No cameras, no polished anchors, just words appearing on a screen, unfiltered and immediate. The familiar blue and white bubbles, usually reserved for private chats, suddenly became the stage for a political showdown. On one side, a CNN journalist. On the other, Donald Trump. There was no moderator, no fact-checker, no commercial breaks, just a direct, unmediated exchange. Every message was a potential headline, every reply a possible controversy. It was a stream of consciousness, broadcast to millions in real time. People huddled over their phones, scrolling feverishly, trying to keep up with the rapid-fire back and forth. The world had never seen anything quite like it. The format itself became the story, a high-wire act with no safety net. In newsrooms across the country, energy spiked. Producers shouted instructions, phones rang off the hook, and editors barked orders as they tried to keep pace with the unfolding drama. Every screen, from the smallest smartphone to the largest newsroom monitor, was tuned to the feed. The digital world was holding its breath, waiting for the next message to drop. Questions flew in every direction. Who approved this unprecedented format? What were the ground rules, if any? Was this journalism, entertainment, or something else entirely? The uncertainty only heightened the sense of spectacle. The mystery surrounding the interview's origins and boundaries only fueled the drama. Reporters speculated, analysts debated, and viewers were left to wonder what would happen next. As the interview spiraled into claims, counterclaims, and classic Trump rhetoric, each message ignited a new wave of debate across social media. Screenshots were shared, hot takes posted, and arguments erupted in comment sections. The world wasn't just watching, it was participating. Hashtags trended within minutes, memes were born in real time, and the conversation spilled out of the app and into the global consciousness. The line between news and spectacle blurred until it was almost impossible to tell where one ended and the other began. News anchors quoted text bubbles on live TV, while pundits dissected every emoji and typo. In that moment, we were witnessing the weaponization of a medium, text messaging, on a scale never seen before. The consequences, both for journalism and for democracy, were still unknown. But one thing was certain: the digital showdown had changed the rules of engagement, and there was no going back. The global reaction was instant. News tickers from London to Tokyo flashed updates. Screenshots of the text exchange dominated international broadcasts. The format felt intimate, almost voyeuristic, like eavesdropping on a private conversation. People were used to seeing presidents in controlled settings. This was raw, dangerously unfiltered. Millions tuned in, drawn by the promise of the real Trump, unvarnished and unrestrained. For 2 days, the text exchange was the only story that mattered. Markets reacted, leaders issued statements. Supporters saw a leader bypassing hostile media, critics saw a platform for disinformation. Every message was dissected and weaponized by both sides. Productivity dipped, families debated, and the interview became a cultural moment. The world wasn't just watching news, it was watching the very definition of news change. The Trump text interview ignited a fierce and passionate debate about the very nature of journalism's role in society. It wasn't just another headline or a fleeting controversy, it became a flashpoint, forcing journalists, editors, and the public to confront uncomfortable questions about the responsibilities and boundaries of the press. Is our job simply to provide access to those in power, to act as a conduit for their words, or is it our duty to challenge authority, to hold leaders accountable, and to ensure that the public receives not just information, but the truth behind the headlines? Some in the media world hailed any access to Trump as a victory, arguing that proximity to power is itself a journalistic achievement. but others pushed back, insisting that journalism is not mere stenography. It's not enough to simply repeat what's said. Our job is to interrogate, to analyze, and to provide context. Our duty is to the truth, providing context, correcting falsehoods, and asking the tough questions that those in power would rather avoid. Journalism is a public trust, and with that comes the responsibility to dig deeper, to challenge narratives, and to shine a light on what's hidden. But the text format of the interview changed the dynamic entirely. It ceded control to Trump. He could choose what to answer, when to pivot, and how to frame the narrative on his own terms, without interruption or challenge. The journalist was left limited, unable to interrupt, unable to press for clarity, and unable to follow up in real time. The usual tools of accountability, body language, tone, immediate rebuttal, were stripped away, leaving the reporter at a disadvantage. This imbalance turned the exchange into a platform for Trump, not a rigorous inquiry. The power dynamic shifted, and the interview became less about seeking truth and more about amplifying a single voice. The debate struck at the very heart of democracy. A well-informed public depends on accountability, not just access. When journalism fails to challenge power, the public loses its most vital safeguard against misinformation and manipulation. In the end, the interview became a symbol of journalism's crisis, a moment when the pursuit of scoops and access threatened to eclipse the deeper mission of seeking and defending the truth, no matter how difficult or inconvenient that may be. To understand the text interview, you have to see it in the context of Trump's long war on the press. He's worked to delegitimize journalism, branding news as fake and casting reporters as political enemies. This wasn't just complaining, it was a systematic effort to dismantle the press as a check on power. The text interview was the ultimate expression of this strategy. Trump engaging with CNN, but entirely on his terms. He bypassed tough questions and injected his narrative directly into the news cycle. It was a masterful manipulation, using the media's reach while demonstrating dominance over it. The result: deeper polarization, eroded trust, and a press framed as just another political player. The interview was the culmination of years spent bending the media to his will. The choice of a text interview created new problems for journalistic integrity. Texting lacks tone, body language, and real-time interruptions, tools crucial for accountability. Trump could ignore tough questions, craft responses, and control the pace. The format blurred the line between formal interview and casual chat, making serious claims feel like banter. It normalized a dangerously informal style for matters of national importance. The journalist became a passive recipient, stripped of the power to press for truth. If this becomes the norm, the public will get less information and even less accountability. The main criticism was the lack of live accountability. In a real interview, follow-up questions pin politicians down. Here, that tool was gone. Trump could flood the feed with unverified claims, leaving the audience with a stream of misinformation. The interview became a super spreader event for falsehoods, using CNN's platform for legitimacy. Transparency suffered too. Who was the journalist? What were the ground rules? The secrecy fueled suspicion and eroded trust. The interview was packaged as groundbreaking, but it was a controlled messaging opportunity. It left the public more confused, buried under claims without a trusted guide. The text interview's consequences are rippling through journalism and democracy. It's forced a reckoning. Are we in the business of information or entertainment? The event deepened polarization, creating separate realities for supporters and critics. It didn't foster dialogue. It entrenched division and eroded shared truth. Outrage and controversy drove massive traffic, tempting news organizations to repeat the model. The biggest danger: setting a precedent. Other politicians will demand similar treatment, bypassing tough questions. The power dynamic between press and politicians is shifting, threatening accountability. We're halfway down a slippery slope. The fight to reclaim journalism's watchdog role has never been more urgent. Our democracy depends on it. For CNN, the fallout was immediate and intense. The decision to proceed with the text interview sparked criticism inside and outside the network. Many felt CNN was used, its platform co-opted for a political narrative. Internally, tough questions are being asked about editorial standards and decision-making. The trust of our audience, our most valuable asset, has been damaged. Critics, including Trump, used the interview to attack CNN's credibility, even as they benefited from it. Moving forward, CNN must embrace radical transparency and reaffirm its commitment to accountability-based journalism. This moment is a wake-up call for all of journalism. The challenges we face today are not just about one story, one interview, or one newsroom. They are about the very foundation of our profession. Every journalist, editor, and media organization must reflect on the choices that brought us here, and the values that must guide us forward. The Trump text interview exposed the dangers of chasing access and ratings at the expense of truth. When the pursuit of exclusivity overshadows the responsibility to hold power accountable, journalism loses its way. The temptation to prioritize sensationalism or proximity to power is real, but it comes with a cost paid by the public's trust and by democracy itself. The path forward requires courage to say no to compromised conditions, to walk away if accountability is lost, and to resist the pressure to conform to narratives that serve only those in power. It means standing firm, even when it's unpopular or when access is threatened. True journalism is not about being liked by those we cover, it's about serving the public interest. Access isn't the prize if it comes at the cost of truth. The real reward is public trust, earned through integrity and a relentless pursuit of facts. Journalists must remember that their loyalty is to the audience, not to the powerful figures they report on. The public must demand better, supporting organizations that value depth, context, and transparency. When you choose to subscribe, share, or engage with quality journalism, you send a message that substance matters more than spectacle. Your support empowers newsrooms to invest in investigative reporting, fact-checking, and stories that matter. Your attention is the industry's currency. Use it to reward rigorous journalism. Be intentional about where you get your news, and don't settle for headlines that lack context or stories that avoid hard truths. Every click, every view, every subscription shapes the future of journalism. Demand context, demand accountability, demand that journalists do their jobs, ask questions, challenge narratives, and expect more from those who inform you. A healthy democracy relies on an informed and engaged public, willing to hold both journalists and those in power to the highest standards. This is a time for resolve, not despair. The future of journalism depends on our collective commitment to truth, to transparency, and to the public good. Together, we can rebuild trust and ensure that journalism remains a pillar of democracy. Our mission is clear: to be guardians of facts, watchdogs of power, and storytellers for the public. We must dig deeper, ask tougher questions, and never lose sight of the impact our work has on society. Every story told with integrity strengthens the fabric of our democracy. Our democracy depends on the courage to ask tough questions, and, when needed, to walk away. Let us move forward with renewed purpose, knowing that the future of journalism and the health of our democracy rests in our hands.